My favorite topic, choosing the right destination in travel. Build the things around the must-see items for you. You get a flavor for the particular destination, and you can decide, well, gee, that's a place I want to go back to. It means that you have to go with a group of people, and the excursion will move at the pace of the slowest person. Planning what you want and how you want to do it is so important because it makes all the difference in the world. Give yourself the permission to do that and the time to do it, because it could be your greatest experience. Are you traveling solo? Are you going with your partner or a friend? Or are you going in a big group? Look for those deals. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Marty Davis Show. I'm Marty Davis, business lawyer, entrepreneur, connector, speaker, and the guy who turns stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Today, I want to talk about my favorite topic, choosing the right destination in travel. Whether you've got 5 days, 10 days, or a month, and whether you're traveling as a couple, solo, or with a big group of friends. I'll share the must-see places, the viral hacks, and travel planning tips that save you time, money, and most importantly, stress. The first part, what to see? What are those must-sees? And where are you going and what's important to you? Travel at certain times of years in major cities anywhere in the world can be very busy. Those major attractions may require reservations, or if you don't have those reservations, a really long line. Look at the cities you're traveling to or the locations and make certain that if there are major attractions that you want to see, check out whether you need a reservation or not, and make it early. It's so easy to wait and say, well, we don't know what we're going to really want to do this day versus the second day versus the fifth day. But on this must-see sites, why don't you build your trip around those sites and say, I'm going to do that on Tuesday, and book it. We were recently in Rome. My partner had not been to the Sistine Chapel, and Michael said, I'd really like to see that. And so we planned on our first day there. We were going to be there for 3 days. Let's go over there first and make certain we can get in. The line was horrendous. And we were told that that was the line for people that didn't have reservations, and that they took 2 to 3, maybe 5 people every hour from that line. The line was blocks long, so we figured we would be there the entire day waiting to get in to see one attraction. It would have taken and lost an entire day. We said, well, can we buy and reserve a spot for the next day or the third day? No, all of the reserved spots were already gone. So the result, we didn't get to see the Sistine Chapel this time, and learned that next time we'll make a reservation long before we leave the States. Build the things around the must-see items for you. And those could include Sistine Chapel, the Eiffel Tower, Buckingham Palace, whatever city that you're going to and whatever you want to do, Houses of Parliament. Could be all of those things, have a long line, book them early, and know that in Europe, especially, people queue up and are incredibly respectful on lines. So reserve early to make certain that you can see what you want to see. If you're traveling and you're either new to travel or new to a particular location, don't discount cruises. I really love cruises because you get a flavor for the particular destination, and you can decide, well, gee, that's a place I want to go back to, and I may want to see X, Y, and Z in that city, but I got a taste of it. And then you can go back and make another 2 to 3 to 5 day plan of it. So also the beauty of a cruise is that you pack once and unpack once, and you get to see a myriad of different places, and you can do it easily. It's quite frankly usually a very reasonable vacation. The other thing I would caution travelers on is that the most expensive way to book an excursion is to do it through the ship. The benefit is the ship will never leave without you if you're on one of their sponsored excursions. If you do it on your own and don't make it back to the ship on time, you could be needing to travel to the next port on your own. So think about that. But there's also some drawbacks with excursions. It means that you have to go with a group of people, and the excursion will move at the pace of the slowest person. So think about that. Maybe you just like to walk around. My partner and I enjoy exploring on our own. We walk around, we find places. On a cruise, we usually spend the day in a location, and we get to taste the local flavor by having lunch there, or having a drink, or being at a bazaar. We were in Istanbul recently before we took a cruise and spent a full day in the bazaar. He is quite a bargainer, and so we ended up buying a lot of designer clothing, a Rolex spelled with two X's, a Prada spelled with two D's, and a Louis Vuitton where it may have been a very close reproduction, but all fun buys and all fun things to bring back in memories. So those excursions you can do on your own, you can do with a group. You just have to be comfortable where you're going and what you want to see. You know, that's the biggest thing about deciding on destinations and travel. Make certain that you and your partner, or you and the group that you're going with, are aligned in what you like to see in a particular location. Because if you all like different things, that's great. It just means you need to split up and see those different things. If one person likes the countryside and the other likes the city, probably New York City would not be a great choice for everyone to go to. However, maybe going to a city that is not as big but with a great countryside, go to Bordeaux, go to cities that provide both beautiful countryside and some benefits of a bigger city. Again, it's all about the planning. In travel, you want to look at how deep do you want to get into the local culture? Do you want to really experience it? Do you want to live the life of a Parisian? Do you want to live the life of what it's like to be in Copenhagen and go to Tivoli Gardens and see the various statues and experience the best restaurant in the world? Those take time. So maybe that's a 5-day trip and just seeing one city. Or do you like to see the flavor? And I want to take a hop-on, hop-off bus, see the sights, and I also want to see the sights in 4 or 5 other cities. So planning what you want and how you want to do it is so important because it makes all the difference in the world. I like to spend a longer period of time on my travels, mostly because it takes so long to get places. I like to make that travel there part of the vacation. Whether it's spending time in the airport lounge, whether it's splurging on an upgrade to a better seat on an airplane, or splurging on a transatlantic cruise to enjoy the trip to the destination. You get to see so much more. But if you're on a time budget, getting to someplace and planning what's the best use of your time is so important. You know, you can spend 2 days and see the highlights of London, or you can spend a month and really understand what happens with London, its history, its people, its food, its markets, all of which are great, but it all depends on what you're looking for. So plan, plan, plan. The other tip that I would give you is when you're traveling, you know, you've got these must-sees that you want to go for. Only plan for 2 must-sees in one day. Because number one, there may be delays, but on your travel from your hotel or the airport or wherever you're coming from to that must-see, you may go buy something that you go and say, oh my God, I'd love to explore this. And give yourself the permission to do that and the time to do it, because it could be your greatest experience. Michael and I have walked through cities and we're on our way to see a must-see, and we stop and there is the most marvelous cafe, or most likely a gelato shop or a bakery that we want to stop in to see. We recently came back from Rome and we spent at least 2 stops a day at a different gelato shop. We needed to test them all out to see which was best, which was the best value, which was the best flavor. And we had a great time. And the only thing that suffered was my waistline. We're back, and I'm eating boiled chicken and greens now. But I digress. So then it's the question on planning is, are you traveling solo? Are you going with your partner or a friend? Or are you going in a big group? Completely different trips, completely different planning, and completely different outcomes if it's not planned well. I took my family to Scotland a number of years ago. Most of them had never been out of the country. My partner at the time was Scottish, and he had an itinerary down, and he had booked every minute to see things. Unfortunately, my family, having never traveled abroad, was delayed every step of the way. And we did have some real issues at airports and getting into vehicles to travel. And those things just weren't accounted for appropriately. And it created a lot of stress. We all had a great time. We all enjoyed it. We all had good memories. But how nice it would have been to really have had the experience of travel and of a show like ours to say, well, plan for those unexpected things so that you have the time and it's not as stressful. A group tour is great because maybe someone else is planning all of it, but you have to make certain that there is that planner. The worst thing that can happen is you get a group of anywhere from, quite frankly, over 2 and anywhere up to 20, and you've decided, well, we're in London. We're going to get up in the morning and go do something. And you get up in the morning, you all meet for breakfast at the hotel restaurant, and somebody says, so what are we going to do today? And you have 10 different opinions as to what you're going to do that day and how long you'd like to spend doing it. You've spent half a day deciding what's going to happen, and 50% of your group is unhappy because they didn't get to do what they wanted to do, or they feel like they're stuck being with the group even though they'd like to do something else. Planning ahead, planning. And, different age groups like different things, different activity levels. You may be young, but really want to sit on a beach and relax. And you may be old and want to do hiking and do adventure travel. So it's not necessarily age, but it's all about what people's interests are. We recently had a podcast where we were talking to an entrepreneur who loves to surf, loves to boat, loves to play baseball, loves to play pickleball. And if I was traveling with him, I'd want to eat at a restaurant, have a drink at a bar, go to a gelato shop. We're not really great travel partners. So you need to know that ahead of time. And it's all good. And, I'm never going to get into paddleball. But anyway, adventure versus comfort. What's your level? Do you like to get dressed up all the time? Are you uncomfortable being in jeans and sneakers? Or are you just the opposite and want to wear those cargo shorts and a tank top because that's vacation to you? Well, that means that you're not going to go into the Sistine Chapel, or you're not going to go into Hindu temples, or you're not going to go into Buddhist temples because you're not appropriately dressed. And, if you're like my mother was, everything has to be neat, clean, and perfect, suggesting to her that, well, hey, let's go to India and we can go into one of the temples. You just have to take your shoes off and walk barefoot across all of this grounds where there are animals doing their thing and pigeons doing their thing. And my mother's feet probably never touched a dirty piece of pavement. She wouldn't have been happy. So knowing what people like, knowing what they're comfortable with is so important in planning travel. And, a lot of times you think you know what people like, but you really haven't talked about it. My partner, Michael, loves architecture, but he doesn't like old architecture. He likes new architecture. We were in Rome. He was really indifferent on whether he saw the Colosseum or not. But, there were some new modern buildings downtown that he thought were really great. Well, maybe Rome wasn't the best choice for architecture for him. Maybe Dubai would be great because it's got all these new buildings and great new streamlined architecture and great clever design. So knowing what people like and how they like it is all good. He's a good sport. We did go to the Colosseum. He did tell me I should have planned ahead so we didn't have to wait in line. Sometimes you kind of have to do what I tell you, not what I do. But we did enjoy it, and we had some great pictures, and he did enjoy it, especially when we talked about the lions coming and the fighting that was done under the floor of the Colosseum, and how the fighting was happening and all of that. So things do turn out and we learn new things, but knowing what people like is a good starting point. I think too, when you have people that like different things, choose those places that have some choices. Las Vegas is a great place for people that like glitz and glam, but it's also a great place for people who like to hike the Grand Canyon, seeing Hoover Dam, seeing some of the areas that are around Las Vegas. The beautiful desert scenes are a great contrast to the glitz and glamour and great restaurants that are in Las Vegas. One of the tips for Las Vegas for you, if you go, you need to see the Sphere. If you're seeing the movie that's the standard in the Sphere, know that it's $145 for a 45-minute film on the inside of the Sphere. Know that it is absolutely free to watch the projection on the outside of the Sphere, which is almost as interesting and glamorous and exciting as that movie inside. However, if the Eagles are playing there, or as is happening right now, The Wizard of Oz is premiering, they're redoing the movie, it would be a great opportunity to see something that no one else has ever seen. It's knowing what's there, what's happening now, making certain that you plan for it. There are places, so many places in the world that we can make everyone happy by traveling there and going together. Planning, planning, planning. The other thing to do is, as I approach retirement and have more free time, and if you are already retired, look for those deals. Airlines have specials all the time. Cruise lines have specials all the time. Michael and I have decided that once we both retire, our travel plans will be the internet. The internet is going to send us a message that cruises to Antarctica are 50% off. That's our travel plan. And that we can travel by train for 25% if we book 6 months in advance and can do by Europass and have an exciting trip, or do the Venice Simplex tour, the Orient Express. So it's all great stuff. Think about what you want to do and how you want to do it. I tell you now, plan and enjoy what you're doing. We love to travel. I hope you love to travel. Stay tuned for us to give more travel tips, and happy travels, and make certain that you're turning stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Until next time, I'm Marty Davis with The Marty Davis Show.